Here's an example of what your notes should look like for this video. 9-5, solve quadratic equations by factoring. What is the zero product property? By the end of the video, you'll be able to answer this question. Okay, here is the zero product property. If you have variables A, B, and C, they're all being multiplied to each other, and we know that if we multiply all three together, it's going to equal 0, then that must mean that A could equal 0, or B must equal 0, or C must equal 0. That's the only way for you to get a final answer as 0, is that one number must equal to 0. So here's an example of how we'll actually use the zero product property. If you have two separate factors, x and x plus 2, notice they're factors because they're connected by multiplication right here in the middle, and they equal to 0. Well, then that means x equals 0 or x plus 2 is going to equal 0. And if you solve each of these equations, we'll get two answers, x equals 0 or x equals -2. So that means that if I plug in 0, I will get in for x here and here, my answer would be 0. Or if I plug in -2 here and here, my answer will also be 0. And you can check that for yourselves. Okay, here's another example to use the zero product property. And by the way, I like to call it ZPP, zero product property. And you'll hear me explain that or use that term throughout class. So we're going to use ZPP to find all the solutions for this polynomial. If we multiply it, we'll end up getting a polynomial. And so if all of these factors are equal to 0, then that must be that 2 can equal 0, but 2 cannot equal 0. X equals 0, y would equal 0. The 3 minus y, which was here, can equal 0, or the x minus 7 needs to equal 0. And if you solve each one of these equations, if I plug in 0 for x, or y for 0, or y equals 3, or if I plug in or substitute in x to be 7 into this equation here and multiply that all together, my answer would be 0. In the next video, I'll describe how we will use ZPP or the zero product property to solve quadratic equations.